Okay, so let's dive into this. It's June 6th, 2025, and yeah, temperatures are really starting to climb.
Definitely. We're seeing 90s popping up. The National Weather Service even mentioned 94 today for parts of the Northeast. Summer's here.
It really is. And for so many people listening, that means, the summer job season is kicking off.
Absolutely. And whether you're like starting as a lifeguard or working retail, maybe an internship, these jobs, they aren't always just smooth sailing.
Right. You've got the heat, deadlines can feel tighter, maybe new coworkers.
Mm.
You can feel like, well, just something you got to grind through.
Exactly, that feeling. And the source material you sent over for this deep dive, it really gets that. It kind of starts right there, acknowledging those challenges head on.
But then it pivots, right? It doesn't just leave it at it's tough.
No, not at all. It immediately pushes back on that whole just a grind idea, the mission, really, that comes through from these sources. It's not just about surviving the summer job.
Um,
It's about giving you actual practical tools, like things pulled straight from this material, to help you genuinely thrive. It wants to flip that whole script.
From endurance test to opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And we've been digging into all this stuff, the articles, the notes, the research bits, and honestly, there are some surprisingly simple but really actionable insights here.
Okay, I'm ready. Where do we start? The heat seems like the obvious first hurdle.
Yeah, let's tackle that because that summer heat, it really can just zap your energy, your focus, everything.
Totally.
And what's interesting in the sources is how they highlight these almost deceptively simple solutions, things maybe people, kind of brush off.
Like what was top of the list?
Well, something as basic as a portable fan, one source called it a straight up game changer.
Really, just a fan.
Yeah, we saw this Consumer Reports review, I think it was, praising an O2 Cool 10-inch fan, like 15 bucks.
Yeah.
But having that breeze, whether you're, I don't know, working outside or stuck in some stuffy stockroom, huge difference.
15 bucks for a game changer. I like the sound of that. And okay, hydration, obviously.
Yeah.
That's got to be in there.
Oh, absolutely non-negotiable. The sources are really clear. A reusable water bottle isn't just, good for the planet. It's essential safety gear in the heat.
Which ones do they like?
Wirecutter mentioned the Camelback Eddy plus the one with the bite valve holds a decent amount. The 25-ounce one is like 1.5 liters. And the advice was super specific. Aim for about 8 ounces every hour, especially if you're really sweating. Easy to forget when you get busy.
Yeah, you get focused on the task and just don't drink.
Exactly. And the other piece tied to that is breaks. The material really emphasizes taking breaks.
Not just slacking off then.
No, definitely not. It links directly to like CDC recommendations,
Oh.
taking even just 10, 15 minutes in the shade or finding a cool break room. It's crucial for actually lowering your core body temperature. It keeps you functional.
And the sources connect these simple things, fan, water, breaks, to something really serious, right? Like heat exhaustion.
They do. They frame it against the backdrop that, heat exhaustion is a serious risk, hundreds of deaths a year in the US, tragically. And yet these super effective low-tech strategies often get downplayed, like they're optional extras.
Instead of vital tools for safety and just feeling human.
Exactly. It really challenges that whole tough it out mentality about discomfort. Being prepared is key.
Okay, so you've got the physical side maybe a bit more managed. What about the mental load? Summer schedules can feel absolutely insane, packed, chaotic. How do you get a handle on that?
Well, the material approaches time management not as some like magical talent you're born with.
Right, some people are just organized.
Yeah, it frames it as a skill you can actually train. And the starting point they recommend, just a simple schedule.
Simple how? Like literally just writing stuff down.
Pretty much, yeah. Whether it's, an old school notebook or an app, Todoist got mentioned in one place for being straightforward. The main thing is blocking out time.
For tasks.
For tasks, yes, but also crucially for those breaks we just talked about, building them into the plan.
And prioritizing, I imagine that's key too.
Huge. The common advice echoed in the sources is tackle the hardest stuff first. Get that big report draft done or deal with the huge inventory restock when your energy is highest.
Build that momentum.
Exactly. It makes the rest of the day feel, well, more manageable. And staying organized, like actually having a system helps. Notion was mentioned in a review for syncing across devices, tracking deadlines, useful stuff.
I like that camp counselor example they gave. So simple. Crafts in the morning, games in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Deliberate structure.
Right. And the question is, does this kind of planning actually, work the data cited says yes.
Oh, yeah.
An American Psychological Association study showed structured schedules can boost productivity by something like 25%. And a Gallup poll found that around 70% of workers felt they got better at managing time when they used structured planning.
So it's not just wishful thinking.
Right.
It pushes back against just accepting the chaos.
Precisely. It's trainable.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Summer jobs often mean new people, new team dynamics. That social aspect can be kind of intimidating, especially if you're maybe more introverted. What did the sources say about navigating that?
Yeah, that's a big one. And the material makes it really clear. You don't need to be this, like, super outgoing extrovert to connect with people.
Thank goodness.
Right. It emphasizes these really low-key but consistent actions, the absolute baseline. Just being friendly, approachable.
Like actually just saying hi.
Pretty much. You know, a smile, a quick, hey, how's it going when you pass someone in the hall or whatever. These little things, they seem small, but one source, I think it was Harvard Business Review, noted that these tiny interactions can lift team morale by like 15%.
Wow, okay. That's significant for just being pleasant.
Yeah, it builds a generally more positive vibe. And then there's offering to help. That seems almost universal.
Always a good look.
It really is, just volunteering for quick things. Hey, need a hand organizing those supplies or helping with a delivery. It instantly signals you're, a team player willing to pitch in, builds that goodwill fast.
And I remember reading something about embracing learning opportunities, asking questions.
Yes, absolutely. That came up too. Asking a supervisor for, like, tips on doing a task better, or asking a more experienced coworker for feedback. It shows you're not just there to clock in and out.
Shows you're engaged.
Right.
Yeah.
And humble, willing to learn. There was even this example from X, I think, a seasonal worker shouting out a teammate who asked for input, saying how it really strengthened their working relationship. It's about showing you're invested.
So these aren't like high-pressure networking strategies. They're just being a decent human on the team.
Exactly that. Just consistent, small, genuine actions. They build that connection over time.
Okay, so you're managing the heat, you're managing your time, you're trying to connect, but still difficult stuff happens, right? Challenges pop up. How do the sources suggest handling those inevitable tough moments?
Yeah, they definitely acknowledge that challenges are just part of the deal. But they offer a perspective and some steps that kind of challenge the usual panic response.
Okay.
At the core, it seems to be about communication. Clear, respectful communication.
How so?
Well, instead of like getting flustered or guessing, the advice is to pause and just state your need clearly. So if a deadline feels fuzzy, asking your manager respectfully, like, hey, could we just clarify the exact deadline for this project? It sounds simple, but it's effective.
Cuts through the confusion.
Exactly. And the data backs it up. One survey I mentioned found that clear communication like that can reduce workplace conflicts by something like 30%. Significant.
And staying calm when things get frantic.
Yeah.
That's easier said than done sometimes.
It is, but it's crucial. The advice is really about consciously avoiding getting sucked into, office drama or gossip chains. When something difficult hits, try to focus on the actual problem and what the next step towards a solution is, not the emotional swirl around it.
And remembering your own skills in that moment.
Yes, that was a key point. Like, take a breath and remind yourself, okay, I'm good at paying attention to detail, or I'm patient, or I can figure this out. Ground yourself in your capabilities.
That lifeguard example from X was interesting there.
Right. Crediting staying composed during a stressful rescue drill for eventually getting a promotion. It shows that staying calm isn't just about surviving the moment. It's actually demonstrating competence under pressure.
So it reframes the challenge. It's not just something bad happening. It's a chance to show what you've got.
Precisely. Turn it into an opportunity to demonstrate your value, your cool-headedness.
Gotcha. Okay, finally, let's talk gear. The sources put together a sort of summer job survival kit. What essentials made the cut?
Yeah, these are the things aimed at just combating the physical discomfort and keeping you ready. Top the list, especially if you're working outdoors. Sunscreen. Non-negotiable, according to the material.
Why such a strong stance?
Yeah. Well, the stats are pretty stark. The Skin Cancer Foundation links UV rays to, like, 90% of skin cancers. So SPF 30 plus BIA reapplied every couple of hours. It's not just about avoiding a sunburn, it's actual health protection.
Makes sense. Easy to forget, though.
Totally. Which is why having a little travel-sized tube like that banana boat sport they mentioned for $8 just makes it easier to actually do it.
Okay, sunscreen. What else? My feet are already aching just thinking about long shits.
Yeah. Yes, comfortable shoes. Absolutely essential. The sources stress investing in good supportive footwear. Runner's World apparently praised Skechers Arch Fit for helping reduce foot fatigue over like an 8-hour shift.
That sounds heavenly.
Right. Your comfort level really does impact how well you can focus and do your job.
And fuel. Got to keep the energy up.
Snacks, definitely. But the right kind of snacks. Healthy stuff, almonds, granola bars, things that give sustained energy.
Not just a sugar rush.
Exactly. They specifically contrasted it with candy, citing some nutrition study linking sugary snacks to feeling like 20% more fatigued later. So think steady energy, not that quick spike and crash. It brings back that camp counselor image, just having those basics stashed in your bag.
So this kit isn't just about like minor comforts, it's more strategic.
That's the argument in the sources, yeah. They position these things as crucial for morale and just basic readiness. A SHRM study mentioned found that taking care of these fundamental needs can boost employee morale by about 18%.
Wow.
Yeah. So it pushes back against that idea that you should just tough out being uncomfortable. It's about being properly equipped so you can actually focus on doing good work.
Okay, so let's kind of wrap up this deep dive then.
Yeah.
We've touched on beating the heat, managing time, navigating the social stuff, handling challenges, and having that essential gear ready.
And the big thread, the really critical perspective running through all of this from the source material is that these aren't just little survival hacks. They're practical, doable solutions that fundamentally challenge that narrative that summer jobs have to be these grueling tests of endurance. The sources really seem to argue against minimizing simple tools or thinking time skills are fixed or that discomfort is just, part of the package.
You don't just have to grit your teeth and get through it. By actually using these strategies, pull straight from the stuff you shared, you can actually genuinely thrive this summer.
That's the goal. Staying cool, hydrated, getting organized, building connections, facing challenges calmly, having the right gear. It's not rocket science, but put together, it makes a massive difference.
So as you're heading into your summer job, or maybe you're right in the middle of it, here's maybe a final thought to chew on, something the sources didn't explicitly state, but kind of points towards. How might applying these very practical principles, focusing on preparation, using simple tools effectively, managing your own mindset, how might that translate beyond this summer? How can it help you tackle other challenges down the road, long after this job is over? Something to think about.